can look at all the careful deliberation that's gone on up until this point. We're at the end of the process. The very end of the process is when you, the voters, vote on this at town meeting. This is the chance for the various committees to demonstrate that we're in alignment and likely take some positions tonight and some votes. So Dan, maybe you could start off by recapping where we are with the budget. And then we can let people know what we just decided with the sustainability position and the software. And then maybe
so
answer
Tom,
questions.
if I could just jump in. So if I'm looking at our agenda, we actually have a 735 reserve fund transfer before we get into the budget.
Okay, why don't we take that first?
Okay. And Dan, can you fill us in on that, please?
Yeah, we have Mike Wells here as well.
Okay.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Bigger crowd than I expected when I said I wanted to come in front of FinCom. So I'm here before you this evening after a lot of careful examination of our budget and trying to figure out why it was that we seem to be running out of money this year. And if you have the little spreadsheet that I gave Dan, you can see that it's really the cumulative effect of lots of overspends in lots of different accounts, the most of which we're not directly able to control how much it costs us. So it's things like toner consumption and the number of people who have email accounts, which affects our licensing of various software products and things like that. And so we're, to some extent, we're just we're the tail end of that process. If department's able to add a couple of people, or if we get part-time employees, or we get additional people in the library helping out, and we have to create accounts for them, we have to license those things. So I think in previous years, we've probably been able to deal with this with the sort of room for maneuver we have in other line items. And in fact, if I think back to the first year I was in Westford, we had a budget surplus at the end of that year of $140,000. I remember. I think the second year it was 100,000. And what's happened over the last 10 years, 11 years, is we've slowly gone through this budget and polished it and cleaned it and got it down to just the things we need to spend money on. And unfortunately, what that means is we don't have a lot of room for maneuver. So when these things come along that take us by surprise, we don't have anywhere to go for that difference in money. I think
Okay.
I think I'll need to talk to Kristen and various people about how we deal with that going forwards. Whether we need to be cross-charging more things to enterprise accounts things, or whether we need to look at building that into the budget somehow. But
Okay, Mike, so I think we've seen the information. Can you just give us the total dollar amount that you're asking for again?
Yeah, I'm looking for 32,400.
Okay, and Dan, what's our FinCom reserve balance currently?
125,000.
Oh, we haven't. Oh, sorry, we haven't used anything of it. Okay, does any finance committee member have a question on this? I'm not seeing anything. So could I? Oh, Dennis, go ahead.
Yep. So maybe Dan, you can explain this to me if you could. I have the munis report that you sent out today, and it gives the original appropriations and the revised budgets and what's left in them. And I'm just looking at things like the town computers because this is what's on there, and it's indicate. Can you explain what these lists mean? Because some of these do relate directly to Mike's situation, if you could.
Explain the overall operating budget, or
No, just the ones that there's several ones that, for example, explain what that original appropriation versus the revised budget and the year expended is. The year expended indicates what you've used so far. For example, like in electricity, you used up almost everything that's been appropriated for it. I just want to make sure I have a context for what this means.
Sure. So the original budget that was voted was 580,600. To date, we spent just under 470. And Mike has 103,843 in purchase orders, which are expenses that are incurred or will be incurred, such as utilities.
Mhm.
So the remaining balance that's currently in the IT budget is just over $7,000.
Yeah,
So
so,
overall, it's very low in funding.
so is what Mike is going through here, is this also being experienced in other departments as well?
Not to this extent, but some departments are tight. I think I've briefed the FinCom on the recycling budget so far. And the fire department is also pretty tight at this point in time, but we're keeping an eye on it. And, it's starting in May, we are able to have budget transfers with approval of the select board and FinCom, but this can't wait till May. This was more urgent than the other requests.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions? And if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve this.
I
I'll
move to
approve it.
approve the.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Hari. And can I get a second?
Second,
And all in favor, Jake,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Dennis,
aye,
Beth,
Aye.
Hari,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much, everyone.
And thanks to Mike. Let's move on to the FY24 budget. And Dan, before we get into the 740 and 750 specific items, can you just kind of recap where we stand?
Of course. So back on December 10th, Jody gave her budget presentation for FY24. At that point in time, we were funding the schools at 2.5%, which was basically a 266,000 shortfall of their request for the year. After going through the budget and making several moves, including the select board approving $1,040,000 ARPA funds to fund the police-based radio, looking at small budgets within, looking at the revenue, we increased local revenue for investment income and hotel excise tax by 80,000 each. And we just got the Neshoba Tech assessment on Thursday. That was some good news there because they received more Chapter 70 funding than expected. The assessment was actually able to be reduced by $19,000 plus. So where we stood on Friday was Kristen and I met with Dr. Chu and Jenny from the schools to talk about bridging this gap. And we were able to fund the sustainability coordinator at 70% within the budget for $43,000 and change, starting on September 15th. And then the Westford Public Schools were able to fund $250,000 plus of that $266,000 request. So basically, Dr. Chu, I believe, was recommending to the school committee to use school choice funds to fund the difference, which was $15,759.
So, Chris, too, is that what, or can somebody from the school committee just update us on your 6:30 meeting?
Sure. Basically what Dan said, Dr. Chu brought to us the recommendation to fund the additional 15,000 and change with school choice funds. We voted to approve that.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any questions on that part of it?
go on.
Dennis?
Yeah, Dan, can you update us on what the situation with OSD and the tuitions for the special ed situation is?
I would think that'd be maybe more Chris Chu or Chris Sanders.
Whoever.
Yeah, we don't, as of right now, we haven't seen a specific increase to that amount in our tuition rates as of yet, but it doesn't mean that that's not still coming.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So any other questions regarding that school portion? So then the next piece was the select board had a meeting at 6:30, and I will let either Dan or Tom, if you want to update us on what happened there.
Dan pretty much covered it. We decided to make an allocation from ARPA to cover a software expense, and we decided to, because we're able to cover 70% of the position through the operating fund, we decided to fund the additional increment to make it a full-time position with ARPA funds as well. So we made an additional 18,000 and change ARPA allocation to be able to fully staff the sustainability position for the coming fiscal year.
Okay, great. And that balances our budget. So does anyone have any questions on closing those gaps or any, Heather?
How many positions at this point are we paying through ARPA?
I don't have the answer to that. Dan, do you?
Yeah, it's partial for the community wellness director, partial for the sustainability coordinator, and we're phasing in the 2 additional firefighter paramedics over through FY26. So that's about, I think the impact is about 34,000 a year for that. I believe those are the only positions that are being funded this way.
Okay. Heather, anything else?
Nope, thank you.
Okay. So I think we are on to the FinCom voting on Article 11. Unless anyone has any other questions.
No.
Okay. So Article 11 is to approve fiscal year 24 operating budget. So could I get a motion to recommend Article 11?
Motion to recommend Article 11.
Thanks, Beth. And a
Second.
second? Second? Okay, all in favor?
Wait a minute.
Oh, Dennis?
Discussion?
Yep, discussion?
Yes, I do. I want to I'm going to vote to approve this, but I'm going to do it with a reservation and objection. I don't think that the wellness coordinator, or not, excuse me, the sustainability coordinator should be funded through ARPA funds. It should be funded through the regular town budget with a regular salary scale and schedule. And I'm not going to let that stop my voting, but I do believe that that's a bad practice to engage in right now. Thank you.
So Dennis, but we are funding 70% of her salary through the operating budget. I just want to make sure you understand that. It's just the remaining 30% that's coming through ARPA.
Okay, I still don't.
That's fine.
believe-
I just,
I'm going to vote for the budget, but
Mhm.
I'm just letting you know that I think the use of the ARPA funds is very dangerous, because what happens when those funds run out, the town's going to get stuck with all those bills, and that's an important thing. And not only that, but the town manager made it very explicit in her last year's budget recommendation that we should not be funding any personnel positions utilizing the ARPA funds. I just want that on the record.
sure. No, and I'll just comment on that. I do agree with you in theory. For this particular position, for the sustainability coordinator, I'm willing to take that little bit of a gamble, because I think we're going to make it up over this next year. And we will be keeping in better touch to see what that position brings to us. So that's my feelings on
I
that.
certainly hope so. Thank you.
Yep, I do too. Tom?
Yeah, I just wanted to second that. And also stating the fact that I think we're going to be, well, first of all, it's really hard saying back to what Jody said at this point. We have to give Kristen a clean slate as our new town manager. But also, I believe that discussions are going to be much sooner looking at next year's, at the FY25 budget. We might be starting FY25 the day after town meeting, because there are these shortfalls that we do need to close the gap, and we just need to have much more discussion. So there are definitely concerns of using one-time funds. I know the school committee has expressed the same concerns, and yeah, so it's an issue that we know, but these are definitely important positions to be funding.
Thanks. Any other discussion before we vote? Not seeing anything. So all in favor of recommending Article 11? Jake?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Beth?
Aye.
Ari?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. So that passes as a recommendation. The next thing on our agenda is a reconsideration for the finance committee. I think.
Christina,
you
I
guys
think
are-
we need to,
Sure.
I think the select board has to also,
Are you gonna do that tonight, or are you gonna do that at
No,
your
Tom,
next?
it's on our agenda for our next meeting.
okay, great, thank you.
No problem. So are you guys set? Do you want to, do both of the other committees want to adjourn, or you're welcome to stay, but I don't believe there's
Motion to
anything
adjourn?
else.
Valerie, did you go first, Valerie?
Yes, I did.
Okay, we'll go after the school committee.
Second.
I
Oh.
have a second. Okay, school committee, all in favor of adjourning? Catherine,
Aye.
Gloria,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
Valerie,
Aye.
I'm an aye. That's 5-0. School committee is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
No offense. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll
thank
accept
you
the
all
motion to
very
adjourn.
much. Before you guys adjourn, just thank you very much for the budget. It was very, very productive this year, and thank you.
Well, yeah, thanks to everybody for all the collaboration, all the help, and it's a big effort, and it's good to see us get to this point. So we'll see you on the 25th.
And thank you, Christina, and your committee for all your hard work. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor, Anita,
Aye.
Andrea,
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you. Good
And
night, everybody.
I'll just echo everybody. Thank you all for all the hard work. Thank you, Dan, Kristen, everybody behind the scenes. We're going to town meeting with a balanced budget that we all agree on, and that's a great accomplishment for all of us. So thank you. And good night.
You.
Good
night, everybody.
I'll just let them go off. Okay. So Article 8 is community preservation funding, and Heather had brought up a question. And so I wanted to see if the committee wanted to reconsider our recommendation on Article 8 just for the Meadowbrook property projects. So in order to do that, we need to, I made that motion to reconsider. We need to vote to actually reconsider it. Heather?
I was just gonna ask, do we make a motion to reconsider before we can discuss it, or can we discuss it and then we do? Okay, I'll make a
think we
motion,
do.
reconsider then.
Can I have we have a second?
For the purpose of discussion, I would second.
Okay. So all in favor of reconsidering just for the Meadowbrook piece? Jake?
Aye.
Tom? Is that an aye? Yep, okay. Dennis?
Aye.
Beth?
Aye.
Hari?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, so that passes to reconsider that. Heather, can you just kind of start us off with what some of your concerns were on that project? Or questions?
I was intrigued at the last meeting. I didn't realize the location of the Meadowbrook farm. And now it's my understanding that it's where the old Maker farm was over on Gould Road. There's a large number of kids that do summer camp and various other camps over there. At least under Maker Farm, my kids have aged out, but there's still programs running over. I'm not quite sure how big they are. So I was curious about the land and the well request, because I thought all of it was private. So then when I started looking into it a little more and then kind of understanding, plus we have the Pecora issue over there, I had a couple questions, and the town staff has helped me kind of understand the layout of the land. Meadowbrook holds a piece next to a piece by the town and next to a piece by the cemetery. There's some official and unofficial agreements for Meadowbrook to utilize all that land. But what really is a sticking point, I think, for me is the Pecora and the well issue over there. There's apparently multiple wells on that on the Meadowbrook piece of the property. One has been closed, and the other is still good, but then we all got an opinion today from council. And it just makes me really nervous the town would open up liability drilling this additional well over there. And then I don't understand quite yet if it would be considered public based on the number of people using it. So I guess if everyone reviewed what came out from Dan today, it just almost, if I read into it too much, it kind of is encouraging the town to be very careful in deciding to allow this well to go through.
Okay, thanks, Heather. Let's start with maybe Tootie, could you walk us through the CPC's decision-making here, and if you can allay any of Heather's concerns? Tootie? Okay, do we have anybody else from CPC?
Hold on, are you there?
Okay. Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was muted.
That's okay.
Okay, yeah, so when the application came before us, Jody Ross, the prior town manager, had already, enlisted attorneys to make sure everything was on the up and up. So it's very legally mapped out as to what's public land and what's then been leased back. And that's all handled by attorneys, and they have all that kind of legal stuff all squared away. Now, when we evaluate a project, we take our time and look through it all. We've done them before. We did a well for the community gardens. We did a well for the other farm over, I can't think of the name of it, over on the other part of town near Chelmsford. And in all those cases, the lawyers draw up the agreements so that if there's any questions about liability or whatever, that will all be baked in the cake before the money is ever approved. So both finance and the legal teams look at all of it and keep it so that it's all legally on the up and up. Now, we looked at the project and thought it was very valuable in terms of using the farmland. There's sort of been a resurgence for agricultural uses here. And the community garden one has been very successful. And they already have gardening going on over there, and they're putting in a new well that will have all the safeguards and also the legal documentation so that the town will not have any liability in terms of anything going wrong there. So I didn't realize there was so much a perchlorate question. I've been told it was more about wanting to know sort of how we decided on it and what that. So I'm not an expert on the perchlorate piece of it, but that's something that you would get from the town. So are there specific questions about whether or not there will be perchlorate or whether or not it's protected? There will be no liability for the town. They will make sure that whoever's operating that and doing all that, that will all be incorporated by the lawyers in the lease. So there's a part on the application that talks about how they have to have, like when there's care and custody, sometimes, they have to have some kind of an agreement that they come to and they sign all the legal documentation. So that's my understanding. So the committee, went through it all. He did needs assessment and then also came to give his presentation, and we were all comfortable with it and it passed unanimously. So we don't have reservations in terms of that, but I don't know, is Dan O'Connell on too, to talk about the financial liability part, or is Dan O'Connell on?
Dan O'Donnell?
Dan O'Donnell, yeah. Is he on?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here.
I don't know if you can help me out with this.
Yeah, from my understanding, and Kristen, feel free to jump in if you want. There needs to be an agreement that doesn't put the town's interest at risk and basically indemnifies us if something does go poorly with the whole well installation. So I'm pretty sure that the select board would have these questions before entering into an agreement with this project. So as council has pointed out, that we should have an agreement ahead of time. So I think that's basically our advice from council at this point. So that's what I know.
Yeah. And so it is within the application and then within the requirements for the money being released for the project, that those agreements are all signed. So, eliminating any possibility of liability for the town for that.
Mhm. I guess one of my questions, and then I'll get to Beth and Dennis, is, Sudie, do you have any idea if perchlorate, and I also saw arsenic being an issue on this property, if those were any concerns in any of the other wells that you mentioned?
Yeah, no, I mean, they operate at the community garden and the other garden, and there hasn't been any indication of any of that.
Right, but I guess, were those areas of concern? I guess this particular piece of land is a sort of environmental area of concern. And I just don't know if those other ones were or not.
No. There was never any indication or any discussion about any of that. It was a new well being put in at the community gardens. And then I think we put in an additional well. So, and there's never been any issue.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Beth?
Is this going to be used for irrigation or drinking or like?
No,
what-
irrigation. Yeah, it's for
It's for the
farmland.
garden?
Yeah, they're doing a community, it's similar to the community garden project that's been very successful. That's right on Graniteville Road. That, they're looking to maximize and expand. They already have, gardens issues going, CSAs and whatever, but they're looking to just expand it. And it's, this part of the project is for, just expanding it just to serve the community. It's, it's addressing a hunger issue. It's not for drinking water.
Okay, and my other question was, I saw something about it could make the plume of perchlorate kind of grow or change or move. So do we have any experts like on the perchlorate and the plume and how this would impact, what's happening there? Because I thought we were kind of reducing the mitigation for that. So do we have any experts, or has the town consulted with any experts on that?
Well, this whole project is overseen by, the town, but also Conscom is all involved. They have agreements. So, I mean, I can confidently say that nothing like that would happen, prior to the getting agreements that all those things would be tested and, signed off on.
Dennis?
Yes, has the grant agreement actually been executed or not?
I don't believe all the legal work has been done, but nothing will move forward till all that is done.
Okay, and the other thing is I do have in the packet that Dan sent out, I have Ray Dick's overview, or at least background on this. So apparently the site did have arsenic at one point, and the previous owners, I guess, went to town water because of that. So there is a concern about, I think there's a legitimate concern about the materials that are in here. And when I get whenever you get a letter from the town attorney where there's 4 paragraphs explaining what the problems are, and 1 paragraph saying it's okay if you get a grant agreement, it's always a good idea to pause. So I'm going to pause on this one.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Christina, this is Bob.
If you could just, I'll give you a chance to speak in a second, Bob. Tom?
Yeah, so for one thing, my understanding around arsenic is, given the fact that the town is historically apple orchards, we're going to have arsenic in a lot of properties for that one. As far as the project itself, I know that there are a lot of steps to go through before it would actually get final approval, including permitting through Board of Health. Sounds like Select Board would be having some discussion. There'd be some legal agreements to go through. So I do have faith in our professional employees to put some some protections around the town and have the town's best interest. My question is more about on the financial, is if this is not approved, you know, are there other projects that were not put forward that could have used this funding? A, and then B, is this funding just appropriate, I guess, or is it become available next year for CPC to use? So.
Judy, could you answer that?
Yeah, sure. In terms of the funding, there are we funded every project that was before us, and this year was actually a banner year. I think we had like a dozen projects, one withdrew, so I think we funded 11. Some of it is bonded, but a lot of it is appropriated. The way the CPC money works is that, you know, budgets are always a guesstimate. So when people ask for how much they want for the project, sometimes they don't use it all. That all has to go back to the CPA fund. So the same thing would happen with this. So nothing was denied in terms of funding appropriately.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions from the committee? Bob, if you want to speak now and just kind of, you know, explain to us your understanding, I'll give you a couple, I'll give you a few minutes.
My name is Bob Waskevich, and I own Meadowbrook Farm. 25 years ago, this town, along with thousands of our fellow citizens, a special town meeting and a special town election, voted to keep some 53 houses from going in. The town put $1.2 million in. My partner Bob and his wife Margaret, we put $2 million in. We preserved it, and it's now there, a forever farm. And this is another position we're trying to take. We took a risk then, and we're taking a risk now. This is not for the farm to make money. This is for the farm to work with somebody like Gaining Ground out of Concord, or to work with the Boston area gleaners, groups that will come in and raise some 100,000 pounds of vegetables and give them to the poor. Not $1 coming to the farm. Talking about perchlorate, the farm has had a well on it since we put that well in some 25 years ago. That well is on the east side of the road. It is tested quarterly by the town's LSP lab, and we've got a non-detect ever since. We have no reason to believe that there's going to be perchlorate in this well. Yes, there was at one time arsenic in the well. We had a person living in the farmhouse. She was working on wanting to have a child and becoming pregnant. And I decided at that point, in the utmost safety, to bring town water in. Since that point in time, we put a reverse osmosis system into that house, approved by the town, and that takes care of that issue completely. This will not be drinking water. This will be irrigation water. We've dealt with UMass Agricultural, UMass Extension, USDA, and from what we gather, we're being told that this is safe. Once again, it is not drinking water. Arsenic, town water, drinking water. I was taking notes here. Is there anything that I can ask or share with any of you, as this is, I think this is a really good legacy we're going to produce for this town. Anytime the food pantry is 100% behind this, they're using somewhere $400 to $600 a week in buying produce. Absolutely crazy, as we all know, with prices of things. But can I answer any questions, please, for any of you?
I'm gonna, Dennis, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so here's one of my concerns. As I refer to this issue, or the item that was sent to us by Ray Dick, Board of Health, she mentioned, and I assume this is a fairly timely memo, she said that it needs to be testing of the well to make sure well regulations. Well testing includes arsenic, radon, perchlorate, and uranium. Has any of that type of testing actually been done yet?
Well, the well hasn't been put in yet, Dennis.
Okay, so there's no way to know that until it's put in. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
All right.
But did you say that there is an existing well
And all
that's
of
being
that,
used?
and all of that's been done, and that is for drinking water in the house, just like so many houses in that area have drinking water, and it's up to the homeowner, the owner of the property, to get it tested. And it has been, And as recently as 3 years ago, we put a very expensive osmosis system in there to make sure it was clean. That is drinking water. This will not be drinking water.
Did you also say that you're hooked up to town water as well? So what's the division?
This whole conversation started with Jody back in October, and the reason that it did is one well that I have on my property, which is abutting the farm property where I live, was ruined by perchlorate, producing some 20 gallons per minute. That well is offline, it's not used, and is totally separate from the other side of the street and from where the well is at the house. Once again, for the perchlorate issue of some 15 plus years, quarterly testing of that well water, non-detect every quarter, as recently as last week. We have no reason to believe that that plume has moved in any other direction. And it is going down according to the lab that I spoke to representing the town last week.
Okay.
Christine, I have a question for you. How come we're this is a CPA matter? How come we're discussing it?
Because Heather had some questions about this project. So all we're doing is reconsidering our recommendation for this project.
Okay, just remind me, what was the original recommendation?
We approved the entire CPC list.
Okay.
Yeah. Heather?
So I think my concern still is, you know, when we look at this attorney's letter, we're potentially creating a problem where there is none, other than the fact that it's expensive to water this farm. And then I guess I have a question for Bob. I'm curious, is there in no way that this water, so if you drill the well and it tests for perchlorate, it just gets shut down, that's it, that's the end of it? And then if it doesn't, does this well in any way get used anywhere else on the property, over for the animals? Is it part of the summer camp program at all? Yeah.
So what would your question be again, Heather?
Would this be at all, if it's clean, would it be at all used in the summer camp?
If it's clean?
Yes.
If it's clean, it's going to be primarily for irrigation.
So it won't be no summer camp use at all.
You could always have another well go bad or something of that nature, but I doubt that that's the situation.
So the other thing that strikes me in some of this is part 2 of the Meadowbrook application was for 15 parking spaces to support this garden. And Ray's email said that it's a public water supply if more than 25 people use it for 60 days. So I'm wondering, based on the gardening that would be going on, would that threshold be met?
Are we going to use it as a public water supply for people?
No, you wouldn't get to determine that. It would automatically, I think, become one if it's used by 25 people. And someone can tell me if I misinterpreted Ray's
People aren't going to use it, Heather. The only reason for those parking places is just like the CSA garden. Those are for people to come in and to work the fields, gather the products and distribute it. Those aren't people that are going to be, this is not a CSA garden. This crop will be, you know, we'll produce, if we can produce, for instance, 100,000 pounds of, believe it or not, summer squash, not summer squash, of, what's the squash you get at the end of the year that I'm having a tough time remembering right now? Butternut, exactly, butternut squash. According to Boston area gleaners, who Elizabeth Alameda connected me with a couple of months ago, a group that basically collected 1 million pounds last year. Gleaners are people that go to orchards, gardens, farms, and pick up the leftovers. Those leftovers amounted to 1 million pounds. They came out to the farm. We've been out there. They've come back again. The idea is to get somebody like them in. They will not come unless a base level of infrastructure is there. Your water, your fencing, your irrigation. All they do is come in, take care of the crops, weed the crops, fertilize the crops, and then collect the crops. That's it. That's what's going to happen with any group that needs to be attracted to that farm. This is not 25 people coming in or, drinking water or gathering. This is strictly for workers and for distribution. I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Christina.
You're muted,
Sorry,
Christina.
I want to give Kristen a chance to weigh in here.
Thank you. My understanding is that the 20 some odd people is those who would be drinking the water. So if it was a housing development
Right.
or a business, that would be the public drinking water supply, not for irrigation.
Okay. Dennis?
Yes, in order to move this matter forward, I would offer that we approve it, but in our approval, we put a stipulation that is subject to a grant agreement as referenced by town council. So that we know that without that agreement, the money there's no approval. Without that, that's an important part of this, I think.
Heather?
I just want to comment on that real quick. I don't know that we can stipulate anything really in doing this, but of the liability concern, I understand all these legal agreements that everyone's citing, but at the end of the day, if someone gets sick, these agreements don't prohibit who they sue, and you're going to go after the deepest pockets. And even in the attorney opinion, he stated that there might need to be a review, and I'm just looking, you guys all saw his language, that there would be no dispute as to application, would there be enough liability in the policy, all that sort of thing. I feel like it's opening up some significant risk to the town.
May I just interject here?
Sure,
You may
Judy.
not be, I don't know what exactly how your bylaws or your whatever's work, that whether or not you can stipulate, but the CPC does stipulate. So that's within the application that those agreements all have to be in place before anything moves forward. And
Okay,
we've done
that's
that.
actually in the agreement already?
No, it will be when the agreement is drafted. And we've done that in many projects. So that's nothing new to our application process. And that's where they
Okay.
utilize the lawyers to, draw all that up. And that would also have the liability issue addressed as well.
Okay, Tom, and then I'm going to go. We do have a audience member that has a question, and then I think we'll probably wrap it up.
That's actually what I was gonna highlight, was that Mr. Jeffries does have his hand up and has for the whole time, so.
Okay. Dan, could we get Bob Jeffries has a question.
Sure. Bobby there?
Yeah, I'm here. Just a couple of comments on arsenic and perchlorate. Perchlorate is entirely the fault of the town itself. And so it's a little funny to pin that on it. And I don't know, but irrigation water with perchlorate might not be a problem, or it might be a problem, but it gets taken care of in the agreement. The other one is arsenic. If you're worried about arsenic in the town of Westford, you're going to have to move. It's contaminated throughout the town. It also seems to have created some longevity in the town, in the drinking water of the town over the years. So both things are endemic to the town. And the fact that Meadowbrook has perchlorate problems is entirely the fault of the town. It's not Meadowbrook's problem. It's not something that happened by nature. It's because the town contaminated the water with perchlorate, and it's our job to clean it up. If the perchlorate shows up there, I think the town should clean it up for them. That's it. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Bob. So Heather.
Sorry, I just had one more question, and I didn't know if this, if we could get an answer this evening, but if we allow, or if the town allows this well to be drilled, what is to stop any other neighbor to drill a well for irrigation? are they, I don't even know, are they allowed to at this point?
I don't know if we can answer that tonight.
I think
unless-
it would still be due to, it would be the permit process. You know, the Board of Health still has jurisdiction over wells in the town, so.
I think at this point, let's make a recommendation on this project. We'll take a vote on what we know right now.
Okay.
So I'll entertain a motion to recommend the 2 Meadowbrook projects under Article 8.
So moved.
And can we get a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Jake,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Dennis,
I'm going to vote nay for 2 reasons. Number one, the information provided by town council and the outstanding grant agreement not being signed gives me hesitation, so I'm voting no.
Beth,
Aye.
Hari,
Aye.
Heather,
Nay, similar to Dennis's reasons.
I'm a nay as well for those same reasons. So that's 3 against, 1, 2, 3, 4 in favor. So it does pass, but it's 4 to 3. I did my counting right. Jesse and Dan, keep me honest. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Can I just ask a quick question? I feel like the legal opinion is marked confidential, and I really I'm not really sure I understand that, because it seems like something that if someone wanted to go in our packet and read that, they should be able to.
Yeah, I don't know if we can
language.
If we could look into that, just at least because I think the residents should probably be able to see that at some point, but we can work in that. We can work on that offline. Okay. Thank you. So let's move on to approval of minutes. Our February 16th minutes. Does everyone have a chance to look at those? And if so, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thanks. All in favor, Jake,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Hari,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So those pass. Do we have any old business anybody wants to go over that we need to finalize? Dan?
So just an update on the FinCom book. We did just finalize the budget, so I was working on that all day. I plan on finishing it up tomorrow and getting that out for review. So if everybody wants to take a look at what I send you, that would be fantastic. Because I am working fast just to meet the deadline for Friday's posting. And I did get all the information from all the liaisons. So thank you for that.
Oh, great. Okay, good. If we don't have anything else, I think our next meeting is March 14th at the Select Board. Dan, what was the topic there? Was it just?
I think it was a follow-up on the water rates again, I believe.
Oh, okay.
But we'll confirm that and.
Yep, it is
get
the
that out to
water
all you.
rates. It's
Thank
the
you.
water rates, and they're also talking about the Cameron Senior Center bids for the HVAC.
That's right.
Oh, right. Okay, thank you both, Dan and Kristen. Heather?
I'm thinking about the water rates and the discussion there, and I heard Bob Jeffries say, you know, that this is our fault in Westford, and I agree with that. I'm wondering, does the water have any difference on their rates on what they would charge for an agricultural property like this, or is it just one rate and done?
Water has residential and commercial rates. Other than that, I don't know how they would classify this, but my uneducated guess is that the water system, the water supply system over there would not be adequate for irrigation of a farm parcel. The demand over there would probably tax the water system.
So do we have any other old business? Dennis?
Just a quick question. With the March 14th meeting, is that our last meeting before town meeting?
It is.
It is, okay. And the other thing, Tom, Dan, you've got the overview too, as well as the public safety, right?
Yes, I have the one that Christina used from both of you,
Okay.
actually. So
That's
that's
good.
in
Okay.
there. So thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. I definitely used some of your input and gave it to Dan. All right, I think we're all set. We have March 14th and then March 25th is town meeting. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Yep.
Second. All right. All
All
in
right.
favor?
Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.